Hello everybody and a very warm welcome back to Apex Racing and Chill. My name is Zabbi and once again I'll be on the commentary mic to take you all through for an inaugural round here at Suzuka. As we are live for round 8 of the 12-round championship. Championship battle is hotting up and everything is about to get brilliant. Well, we are out on the track in practice right now. Well, the times in practice are 147.079 from Nitu so far. Nitu has put some good practice times, at least in recent rounds. Well, GT on 148.1, while RLD 203, but I think that'll be their slowest time. Their fastest would be 154, I'd assume so, or that should actually be even better. And in fact, the fastest time is not from Nitu. Fastest time is from Monte Carlos, who's got a time of 146.513. So interesting benchmarks just before the start of qualifying, just before the beginning of 15 minutes of qualifying for race 1. While we are on here, let's have a look at the drivers and constructors championship standings. While Suzuka is a brilliant track, everybody will be making sure they take care of the car, especially in those S's and some other parts around, because it could be very tricky if you do not use the car as it should be used. Well, let's not waste any of the time, get on the standings. Now look at that, it is RLD who's taken the lead, but it is exactly the same points as it is with GT. So GT and RLD both on 680 points. Definitely the championship battle is indeed hotting up here with Ryan Cooper missing out on the previous round. So 612 points for him in third place, but the top two are exactly 680 points. And I don't think Ryan is here again, so he's going to miss 2 rounds. Could that be costly for their championship here? So not sure about it, but at least so far we also don't see RLD. And if that's the case, GT is really going to be smiling. Oh no, in fact RLD's here. So GT won't be smiling maybe, at least not early enough, unless he could cop on to win that race. So Rez in 612 points with in third place. Then it is Numti who's in fourth, 568 points for him, while it is Jones with 524 in 5th place. In 6th comes Smoke Dog 514. So 2 teammates separated by only 12 points, while 1 Parawood behind is on 503. Nito's in 8th place, 692 points for him. Well, Wolf has got 436. With Lisandro de Silva with 394. Just 2 points ahead of Page, who did not arrive at the previous round to score, or at least did not score any points at all, while it is then Monte Carlos with 325, and then I'd assume it'll be Chapman. He's got 91.80 in the previous round, 91 in the previous round, 18 and 1 before on his debut. He's got 177 points. Well, Mickey, so for his first week last time out, scored 84 points as well at a very good race. Kane, who hasn't joined us from a couple of weeks, has got 60, just 4 points more than Tom, who joined us last time around. So just while we're waiting for qualifying, let's have a look at the team's championship as well. It is the GT Numti squad at the top, ahead of everyone, 1,248 points, while the Apex Originals are on 1,183. Well, the Chemist Racing team is on 1,036, with Pures Racing on 1,006. As Racing Hounds is on 763, with Team Papaya on 726. We haven't seen Craze in the championship for a long while, so that could mean that maybe they're not active anymore, but they're on 726 points of Team Papaya, then Team Pain with 562 points. Although the fun team, we did had them get edited last time out, but they're not edited, at least not edited in the constructors or the team's championship so far, which we definitely expect them to at least be part of the championship maybe moving forward, but as it's the case for tonight, it is not really going to be the case right there. So Monte Carlos, who's the fastest of them all so far, 146.5 1:41.513, the fastest lap time from them, while Smoke Dog is on 1:46.664. So that could be decent times. A lot of drivers, quite a few of them in the 1:46s here then, while we're looking at this so far. So GT, it shows P2, obviously this overlay might not be accurate, or I think, or maybe it's simply, I guess it shows your previous laps, which obviously your most recent lap, you'd say that it shows, and then that Monte Carlos was a 1:50.6, but obviously that's far away from his best time in the session right there. So the drivers still going around. We've got 13 of them right here, so we should be getting into the qualifying session now. It is time, so I'd assume we should be in qualifying only within a few moments, and as soon as we're in qualifying, the action will begin, and the drivers would be racing as good as they can to simply put a lap in, to do a lap in. I think this is the best time, really, isn't it, for them to currently go at everything they've got so far in the session, while Smoke, if he's able to go a little bit better than his previous fastest time, he could easily get up to speed, and I don't think he's going to be doing that, as he's already in the 1:48s, 1:49.8 over the line, so maybe he simply was not pushing on that lap at all. Well, some other times from these drivers, it is Monte Carlos who's going to be making his way around the final corner now as well, 48.6. In fact, he goes third in that overlay. Well, now there we go. Practice is over, and now it is qualifying, which we'll have all eyes on. Qualifying is what we'll get. 15 minutes of qualifying, and then 16 minutes of race one. Of course, as it is, we'll have two races. One 25-minute race, which will be 16 laps around here, then the qualifying results, and then the results from that first race would go reverse grid into race two, which would make things interesting, to make things and racing fun. So definitely that doesn't mean the race one won't be fun. It'll be more than amazing to have some fun, give us the action on track, which we will be looking for. But definitely those 16 laps are about to get fantastic. But before that, it'll be the qualifying that'll be fantastic. It'll be the qualifying that we'll have. Sorry, I don't want to go here, but so qualifying will be the place where drivers are going to show us what they are about to do, and have they ready up everybody. We should be moving to qualifying now. We haven't moved to qualifying now. We got to the end of it, and yep, and somebody's been told to not leave the pits. If you could find, yep, so RLD and Need2 have both then got a qualifying ban as it stands, while they are not allowed to leave the pit lane with Need2 and RLD. How is this going to shape out for RLD? Currently in the lead ahead of GT, but well, exactly same points as GT, so that is going to be a brilliant advantage for GT to pull away, to certainly do a lap, which is going to put him at least further away and far away from his championship rival RLD this season so far, while Ryan Cooper unable to attend. And there we go. Qualifying is starting now, and we're out on the track right here. We'll have cars out on track. We'll have drivers leaving the pits as soon as possible, and already there is one driver who has decided to come out of the pits, and that will be One Parawood, ladies and gentlemen. RLD's teammates, the two Apex Original Racing drivers, doing all they can and everything to show everyone around. So now, as it stands, One Parawood ahead of Smoke Dog on the track. Right behind him is Monte Carlos. Monte Carlos, remember, put the fastest time in the practice session, so that could be spicy if he's able to replicate that. And how good would that time be? Well, Carlin right behind Monte Carlos, while GT is behind Jones he's ahead of Chapman. Chapman has shown a pretty good progress over the last two races, and has shown that it doesn't matter if he comes in the second half of the season. He'll still do and show everything he has got right there. which could play out in control, which could play out in a lot of things right there. And moving forward, I think, while we have one Paravud, he's not yet past the middle sector, currently in the middle sector. He'll be moving through to the final sector over 130R in a couple of moments. And you know what to do, you know what and how anticipated these guys are going to be. Well, RLD, Wolf and Nitu are in the pits. I'm not sure whether Wolf has a collie ban or not, while Nitu and RLD were told to stay in the pits to serve their qualifying ban. That means they'll be starting their race at the very bottom of it, while one Paravud, the very first driver to start their flying lap, and they'll be on it straight away into its turn one, braking over just over the 50-meter board. Third gear, switching up, still staying in third. This S section is very tricky and they nearly go wide. And have they got some grass there? Because if they have, that lap is not going to be a very fast one, or at least a moment they did have, unless they could make up for it throughout the rest of the lap and brilliantly navigated through this S section of the track. What about Smoke then? He's on it as well. He's going to make sure to do exactly, if not anything better than Pomparavud. 30.1 in the middle set in the first sector, 29.9 from Monte Carlos. He's rapidly and visibly faster than everybody else. What about Numpty Ned here? 29.8, so he's even quicker than some of those guys at the top. What about Lisandro in the first sector? 29.7, so definitely you'd have thought Monty's time is quick, but maybe it's not right here. The game is on, and it is game on here in qualifying. How good will one Paravud be at the end of that middle sector? We're about to find out. He's going to be just making his way around the right hand now to go towards the final sector, and at the end of it, we'll get a indication of what they're going to be doing and what of a time they've got at the end of that middle sector. I think there's cars behind him, 127.594. I think by the time others get there, he'll be over the line and have crossed it to the end, while was going to be Smoke, 128.6, so that might be slower, but we are already, and we're about to have one Paravud to go over the line and set up the benchmark time for everybody to beat to 146.680, and I'd assume we've seen quite better times than that in practice sessions. So if the drivers are able to replicate 148.0 from him, Monte Carlos goes quickest of them all already, 146.7, while GT, one Paravud, Japman in fourth place are all switching up there, while Nempty Ned over the line, 146.9. All these guys have got over the line. What about the likes of Mickey? And Mickey goes fastest. Mickey puts it on pole so far, comes over the line and puts it up ahead of everybody and takes the fastest time of the session, unless Page could turn him down, unless Page could do something that nobody did so far. 146.9, good enough for P5. But nothing much of a difference, but somebody's spinning around maybe, or I could be wrong there. Just thought there's some dust coming up. But then look at this, 146.57 from Mickey, 761 from Monte Carlos, 809 from one Paravud. Pretty much everybody is in the 146s, all the way from P1 down to P7, while Jones, Smoke are in the 147 and 8. Lisandro and Wolf Club have not yet made it over the line, as Wolf Club's going to run wide. He was on their out lap, but they ran up a little bit wide, and that'll definitely compromise their lap start, which might even slow them down a little bit in terms of how much they needed or how much they would have wanted. And what are we going to be looking at? One Paravud here. Have they went for another quick lap straight away, or are they going to head into the pits and get themselves a bit of fuel and tires? And if they have done that, indeed, and I'd pretty much expect everybody around to do the same thing as well, unless you're Smoke Dog. He's going to continue to keep on and go over the line and find a bit of time, and he does find a bit of time. 140.7.5 there. P8 for them so far. So 146s are the times. It is currently pretty much mid 126, oh sorry, 146, mid 146s, unless somebody could move it up to 145s, which would be hard, but you never know who could do it. While Chapman's back out on track on brand new tires and less than half of the fuel tank right there, so you know how good these guys are trying to do, how much better they're trying to make sure to do for their team and their own time if they are able to find all those improvements which would see them go to the top or at least get near the top of the timings, while Wolf Club is right now out on the track. And I believe somebody's put a lap in to go in between those guys, or I'm not sure, because there's a couple of drivers in the pits and many of them making over the line as well. 146.8 from GT, he might have been the one, but I don't think so, as he's just on an out lap as well. Who are we having closer to the finish line? It is Smoke and Wolf Club. How good is Wolf going to be? 138 in this part of the circuit, so definitely he's not going to be anywhere near fastest time of the session. 1 per hour on an out lap. So same goes for GT. What about Chapman? Chapman is not on an out lap. He's on a flying faster lap, but is he fast enough than his previous time? We're about to find out, and it might take a little bit of time for us to find out how quick and how much better he's looking to go from their previous lap time of 146.983. They need a minimum of at least 5/10 to go up to P1 or anywhere near the top 2. They probably just need about 2.5 tenths to get better, and they're not improving. They are not improving in the middle sector there. Sorry, yep, that at the end of that middle sector. They'd go over the lines though, so maybe, unless they're able to find somewhat extra time, which we could see and have a look at the end of it, but we're about to find out. Don't think so. Oh, they do find an improvement. You'd have thought how much they're going to improve by. They just improved by over 600ths of a second. What about GT? They're going to be beginning their lap, and there's many drivers who are just starting their flying laps right now here, because it is getting interesting. Well, Numpty Ned goes second fastest, 146.688. So definitely these brand new tyres with more grip, traction and area of the circuit for the drivers. They're all using it their best possible way. Who is going to be the next driver over the line? It is going to be Page for Team Payne. He's been running on his own as Kane has not been able to join them, unfortunately, from the last couple of races. Or in fact, many races. Right there, Kane, whatever was actually able to, was a chance he was going to join us. Unfortunately, he could not. Hopefully, he's going to be able to join us soon, if not tonight. It's always fun to have another person in, which would make it even better for all of you watching. While Wolf Club is on it now. How quick does he go in their previous time? They do go over 21 seconds because their time was 2 minutes 13 seconds, sorry. So that was them slowest of them all. Alessandro is not yet without time. We'll need to RLD serving their ban, and Wolf Club has lost the car and nearly put it in the wall. He's going to get back into qualifying, get back into the pits. So he's definitely not having it easy, not finding it easy at all. Well, it'll be 1 per hour. He's going to try and improve. He does find an improvement despite that penalty, which sees them stay P4. And you know, if they're not with the penalty anymore, they could have a proper chance of getting better. Well, GT's going to go fastest of them all so far, 146.296. How good is Mickey going to be doing? He's 2.8 tenths behind GT there. Can he beat that time from GT for the fastest of the session? No, he can't. He's a 10th down on him. He does improve though, I believe, or in fact, no, he does not, because he has not found an improvement on his previous time at all. It's not going to be a good one while Chapman begins their flying lap. Meanwhile, Page is on it. Do we see them come into the pits? No, we don't. And how quick are they going to be over to the finish line? They are not quick enough just yet. We have another car who's going to be willing to go over the line, which will be of Numpty Ned, but he's just on an out lap right there, as Alessandro is also going to be on an out lap as well, which could be a couple of drivers. And right now we see who's going to be faster, who's going to be quicker in the session so far. We have a couple of drivers now arriving to closer to the finish line, but I believe a couple of them, most of them, are on out laps. I'd say at the moment it is indeed 1 per hour, and he's got to pay serve the penalty there, which he might have done so, but that's going to be sacrificing his qualifying time right there. Well, one Paravid is in P5 so far, despite serving that penalty. Does it see them go any better? I don't think so, because they're simply going to head into the pits, as they've not got much fuel at all. So that is going to be their assistant ending there. Wolf Club is going to be starting their flying lap. Meanwhile, Jones is on an outlap as well. There's many drivers, a couple of them right behind one another. GT on a outlap, while NimTNet is on a flying lap. There's a couple of drivers, one after the other. There's two of them towards the finish line. And who is this one going to be? It is GT, in fact. Same driver who we looked at earlier. They're going to just start their flying lap here at the moment. So far in the session, we're 12 minutes in. Only 3 minutes now remain in the session. GT is fastest of them all. Mickey in P2, NimTNet in P3 so far, while they're making their way around the last couple of corners to have a chance to get better. They need almost 4/10s to go fastest of the session so far. Can they do it? No, they can't. They'll be over 7/10 slower than their previous time, while Monte Carlos will be on the flying lap again, as they're in P4 so far, 146.7. Umperwood in P5, Chapman's in P6. It's going to be Page who's in P7 to start in their lap as well. Smoke in P8, while Jones in P9, followed by Wolf in P10. Well, Lysandros is now coming into the pits, I believe, while Need2 and RLD are chilling in the pit lane until race starts, until we have something on it, as GT straight up loses it on the exit of the hairpin. That hairpin's not really easy to take, especially that exit around there. You could easily lose your rear, and he certainly has done lose his race, his rear of his car, which technically has got it in. And there we go. What are we going to be looking at? GT has lost his car, though he went to return to the pits, but sometimes that could affect your confidence. Sometimes that could affect your confidence a lot, and you never know what you're going to be getting. I think it might have been NimTNet who went over the line. No, it was not him. Well, it is going to be Monte Carlos. He's desperately looking for an improvement here to get better. Oh no, they're in the wall. They're in the wall. At the time, you would have thought they're going to get better and find an improvement on the time. Well, they couldn't previously. They're not going to be doing that. Well, it's almost getting darker, maybe because of time, but also because of those dark clouds around the second. Look at that. So that could well be somewhat rain here in the qualifying session, and if there is any rain, that means one thing. That means, simply as it is, these laps are going to be what we see, and no more chance of improving. But let's see, though. I mean, we're not yet certified of anything right here, especially rain. I mean, it's only clouds so far. We're not seeing much, while GT will now begin their lap again. The fastest of the session so far, 146.296. Indeed, they're not yet able to put a fast time, not yet able to get a better time. I mean, they obviously don't need to get a better time, as they're fastest in the session so far. And it's the final laps. This qualifying has now ended, and all those going over the line was Chapman's found the very fast time, as Mickey, they've done it brilliantly and better than Mickey right there. Chapman 146.496, well, one Paravid 460. So all those making their way around the corner will be their final laps, and Mickey could slightly find an improvement, but not better than Chapman and one Paravid. Only 4400ths of a second down on on Chapman there. What is Page going to be doing? How good is Page going to be doing? He's got the chance to get it on. Currently in P7. He will not be improving. Certainly slower than their previous time. and it'll be the next car of Numpty Ned over the line, not improving as well. So pretty much everybody will be at the end of the qualifying session, while GT is still on it. There's a car ahead of them as well, and that is Lisandro. He hasn't got the time on the board, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, out of the 13 drivers, two have got a qualifying ban, while Lisandro hasn't been able to post a time on the board. And how quick will this be? All the way up to P8. And what is our Bolton going to do? They're going to go better and fast, set up a faster time, even better than before. 1:46.163 will be your quickest time of the session so far, and they've done an excellent and exceptionally well done job by GT. Nobody found an answer to their lap, nobody found an answer to their qualifying performance. All depends on the race, though. All depends on how they'll be doing in this race, how they'll be doing in the race moving forward. But it is brilliant. A brilliant lap for everybody to cope up, especially in the race. Alright then, we've been told to hold up for 2 minutes as we'll wait for the race to get started. 16 laps around Suzuka. But just before that, let's have a look at the results in qualifying. Here are your top 8. GT ahead of everyone on pole position, 1:46.163, while one Paravert almost 3/10 down on GT's time in P2. Chapman, who was also 3.5, almost 3.3 seconds down on GT, 4.96 from him, 4.60 from one Paravert, and 5.40 from Mickey. So the top 4 would be in an interesting fight here for the race, which could be certainly open indoors. Mickey in P4 with Nimtined in P5. While Monte Carlos was looking strong in practice sessions, he had made a couple of mistakes. Still decent enough for P6 with Page in P7, then Lisandro in P8. As the next part of drivers, it is Smoke Dog in P9 with Jones in P10, while Wolf Club in P11 with Nito and RLD sets serving up the qualifying ban, as we now should be moving over to the race very soon. As soon as we move over to the race, we'll be picking up the action on track. Race will start as it says 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 seconds. So we should be jumping up on the track straight away as we have the action on. It is ready from our leaders and host there, and we are ready indeed. And look at this, we should have lights out and us to go racing. False starts will be penalized. Make sure you use the clutch only at the correct time. It is going to be 5 red lights, and we go racing here at Suzuka. What a start. It's a decent start from GT, but a decent start from One as well. What about Chapman? He's going to make it be around the outside. He might have had a better start than One there so far as it looks like. Has he, though? Because One has just managed to stay ahead and keep his car in second place. Mickey is in P4. Chapman has managed to just stay ahead of Mickey, while it is his car to the back, and there is incidents at the back as well. And that might be Wolf Club and RLD. The two drivers spun round while Monte Carlos is right behind Nitu, who was serving the qualifying ban and not setting up a time. But Nitu now right ahead of Monte Carlos, where Monte might try and get past Nitu there. Will he be able to get past him there, though? We're about to find out. They're nearly going to make contact. Who's going to be the better into the right-hander? It is going to be Monte Carlos. Nitu just managed to stay ahead while at the top of the table. There might be a bit of battle going on, and GT's taking the lead. Oh, no, I mean, he should have had the lead, actually. He should actually have the lead. Apologies, the battle fight for looking at one part of it, and Chapman there, P2 and 3 so far. Well, Mickey is right one as well. So I believe it was Chapman and Tom for a new team, but as it looks like, Chapman and Mickey using the same livery, so maybe they have been in the same team. We didn't have much information about them being in the same team because I believe Mickey was on his own, and last time was Tom and Chapman on a team. But look at this then, so GT still leads ahead of One by 1.1 seconds, while Chapman is 5/4 tenths behind these guys as well. We could be seeing a move coming up from Chapman to try and get past One right there, which would eventually mean he takes the position and the pressure will be on, while Mickey's in P4. Numpty Ned is behind him, while it is Page and Smoke Dog might be fighting Numpty, these two guys, with Lisandro in P8 as well, followed by Jones in P9 as it stands, with Nitu in P10, Monte Carlos in P11, while RLD has not been able to move forward. And at the moment, remember, these are on exactly equal points as GT in the Drivers' Championship so far. So that could eventually mean a possible chance of fighting, while these guys are going to be fighting each other as there overtakes at the back. There might be, as Jones is getting overtaken by Lisandro's. Maybe he's fighting Lisandro to make an overtake there. Into the hairpin they'll go. There's a pretty tricky corner. They need to make sure who gets the better of them right there, while Monte Carlos is going to go for it on the inside line. He gets past Nitu, while Nitu's now got RLD right behind him as well, as RLD might now get past Nitu as well. They're going to be side by side. Who's going to be the driver better, braver and better on the brakes and traction in those cars? It might be Nitu, and it will be Nitu at least so far for the moment. And no, it will not be, as absolutely we just say that it'll be Nitu. He goes so wide and allows RLD to get past him back again. And once more, it is fun. I know it's for the final positions. It's at the very bottom of the grid, but wherever we could find some action, while I believe Wolf Club made contact with the wall and he's out of the race already. While Monte Carlos, Jones and Lisandro are all at it. The fight could be on Lisandro and Page, actually. No, in fact, it's going to be Lisandro and Jones right here. While there might not be much fighting at the top of the table, there's going to be some fighting for these bottom midfield positions. Is Jones going to go for it on the inside into turn 1? No, they'll not. So they're just going to make sure they get past these S's very soon, while GT leads by 9/10. Meanwhile, one part of it is catching them up. Both of them are on the same medium tire, along with Chapman, Mickey, Numpty, Smoke, Page. Every single one of them on a set of mediums all the way to Lisandro's on the set of hards. Then again, medium for Johns as well. Nobody, as we just said, nobody's using, but RLD is indeed using those soft compound tyres. Nobody else is doing so. Maybe they had the experience of going out in qualifying. Remember, RLD did not come out in qualifying, so they possibly, I mean, they would have done a lap on those softs, but they maybe wouldn't have had somewhat of practice or somewhat of somewhat of, you know, experience of what they should be doing and what they should have done coming into this race, because they're only in lap 3 and those soft tires are nearly halfway done. Well, they are ahead of Need2, but it won't be too long before they need to get past them, while Jones and Monte Carlos are now going at it, as Monty will get past Jones, or will he? Because it looks like, no, if I know, you'd have thought they were side by side, but they actually are not. Well, there's a lot of action. Do let me know whatever you guys want to watch out the action at the moment. While we talk about watching the action out, it is one Paravud as he's catching up to GT rapidly, and we might just might see a move being made right here, which could well be a brilliant one coming up soon. So lap 4 out of 16. We're 1/3 out of this race right now. We would have thought he's going to be catching up and overtaking, but he's already also gained up already by a second over here, while at the back in the midfield, in the mid pack of the racing cars, it is Numpty who's just ahead of Smoke, which these guys could be caught up by Page, who got past Lisandro, while Monte and Jones were fighting for a little bit earlier. But they're not going to be doing that. And Mickey finds himself in P11. We're talking about what's going on. Mickey's lost his car, while Smoke and Numpty are going to be fighting each other off as well. Smoke's going to have the inside line. Numpty's going to have the outside line. It might be the Numpty Scott driver who's going to be the bravest, or Billy though, because he may allow Smoke to get past on the inside line. Smoke's going to stay right beside him already. He's definitely going to go right behind him now to pick up the slipstream, pick up the toe, and help him get better. But will he be getting up better though? Who's going to be the flat out driver into 130R? Both of them are nearly going to push foot to the floor. And Smoke Numpty Net just about keeps his car to the top, just about keeps his car ahead of Numpty Net there. Well, Mickey's lost his car. Mickey's at the very back of the grid then. Well, Numpty Net now, we might be in a bit of pressure from Smoke once more. Smoke will get another opportunity. Does he go to the outside? Does he go to the inside? As he just stays there. And not to forget, these guys are then allowing Mr. Page to come behind him, because Pagey is in P6 at the moment so far. Well, forget even if Page arrives, it is going to be Lisandro and Monte Carlos who these guys are going to be arriving as well. Well, Monporavud might have run a little bit wide, and that'll allow Chapman to get past him, and Chapman's already passed and ahead of Monporavud. Gets the overtake done, and move is being made from Chapman there. Ever since Chapman has came, they've been fighting in the top of the drivers between all of them. While GT leads, he's unbothered by any of this. One Paravud making sure everything he can do for his team at the top, while their teammate is down in P12. It wasn't much they could do, while RLD's back on track. I think they started on the soft tire as well. It's going to be Jones. He's nearly going to be going towards the barrier, just keeping it out of the walls, but have lost the car as well. So drivers definitely finding it difficult then, as it remains here at Suzuka. Of course, we're in round 8, so we'll have 4 more rounds remaining from here. 4 more rounds are remaining in this season so far. Sorry, yep, in fact, 4 more rounds. Of course, after this one, including this, after this one, in fact, it'll be 3, I believe, so round, is this round 8, so then it'll be round, no, in fact, it'll be 4. I should say. So it is round... Let me actually make sure. Are we around it? Or I think we're around 9. Yeah. Apologies about that. We're around 9. So I had in my mind we're around 8, but we're actually round 9. So it is round 9 here at Suzuka, which could obviously be seen here in the championship standings as well. For somehow I had on top of my mind we were in round 8, but no, we were in round 8 last week and we're around 9 right here. So it'll be 3 rounds that'll be remaining after this one, which will be Suzuka, then Lago, then Yas Marina with Le Mans to end the season, which will be a good racing circuit. All 3 the remaining ones. It'll be interesting to see how Yas Marina performs with these cars, but it'll be all fun and games while we're lap 6 onto lap 6 out of 16. GT leads by over 2.1 seconds. With Chapman, who's also 1.7 seconds ahead of one Paravud. Numpty Ned then has gained over a second as well on Smoke Light there, as it looks. So the tires pretty much look in the same conditions, at least in terms of tire wear that we could see on the screen. Maybe somebody's got some of these guys have got more hotter tire temperatures, which would make it very difficult for them to be technically racing. Also, you know, to make sure do the best job and better they can for all around. We've got 12 drivers right in here. Jones at the moment in P12 on those medium tires. I wonder if they've pitted, which I doubt they wouldn't have, because looking at the tires, maybe they've saved up those. Oh no, I think, okay, definitely they would have pitted, because looking at the condition of some other drivers' tires, I'd assume that Jones has pitted, and that's in fact the reason they're down in P12. Well, GT, are they going to come into the pits and stay out? I mean, at least at the moment they've stayed out. So far, many of them actually have stayed out, while Smoke is now in P4, as it looks like one Paravud has pitted and has came into the pit lane. So now they're just going to be ahead of their teammate RLD, while one Paravud is in P10. All these guys over 21 seconds down on the leader. But remember, our race leader is going to be pitting up and coming into the box soon as well. Numpty Ned, Urs and Smoke Dog in P3 and 4, while at the top it is Chapman and GT, both being on same amount of tires. GT slightly lost a bit of progress to Chapman there, but for how long are they going to stay out? For how long will they be staying out? Because they at least want to make sure that they're able to do just about 8 laps on these tires, which I'd assume they would more like to do, or maybe they come into the pits at the end of this lap, which, because even doing 8 laps, they've done pretty much 6.5 laps, or almost 7 laps now. We're at the end of this one, but tires are generally looking pretty hard to manage around here at Suzuka, because it looks like some drivers are not really having it easy in terms of tire management. And GT comes in while Chapman stays out, so he's going to go box opposite to Chapman. Would have been the call to GT, or rather call box opposite to GT would have been the call to Chapman. They're going to stay out with GT. Page moving forward as well. Then comes Monte Carlos, Lizandra, and all these guys staying out, while GT, Numpty, Smoke, Mickey have all these guys pitted, while at the back of the grid it is going to be one Paravud. He's going to try and get past Nitu there. Will he be able to get the move done though into turn 1? Nitu will have the outside line. One Para will have the inside line, as they're just going to able to get past him as they nearly make contact into the S as they go. They'll still be will to will. Who's the driver willing to back out, and who's the driver willing to give it all? So far it looks like it was one Paravud. Well, need to run a little bit wide so far. Well, GT is back in. GT is back in P7 and ahead of RLD, who you'd assume have pitted already. In fact, a couple of laps earlier, and his medium tires are already halfway done on the front tires, which could be interesting here, because by the looks of it, it looks like we might see drivers do 2 stops. I mean, GT's went for a hard tire, and that definitely explains why he's went for a hard tire, because the medium tire, it looks pretty unlikely that these drivers are going to be able to complete this race on a 1-stop here, especially on those medium tires.
because look at, I need to, despite him being on the hard tyres, his rear tyres a bit better on from the front. So definitely, again, this track is being front tyre punishable, front tyre punish. These drivers getting, so managing those front tyres would be a bit of a trouble for them to do. Well, Chapman's now in the pits as well. Chapman will be coming into the pit lane. What about Page? What about these guys at the front? They're going to continue. Page and Monte Carlos, along with Lisandro. All these guys have continued. So, Paravid is on a set of soft compound tyres, and he's ahead of GT. That is interesting. Nito's ahead of him, but Nito hasn't pitted, and I assume Paravid has pitted because looking at those condition of those soft tyres, it looks like he might have pitted at a couple of laps earlier, and the undercut could be very powerful. While looking at Chapman's going to be down in P9 now, exiting the pit lane, and will be on the pit exit. Could be a bit of a fight with Smoke there in the turn 1. Will Chapman be able to defend this? Well, Mickey is right behind Smoke, and the two teammates are going to be together, at least if I'd assume the teammates, because of their technical liveries, almost identical to one another, while Page and Monte Carlos still in the top two. Page leads the race 1 here at Suzuka. We're more than halfway distance over this race right here, as who will be the driver to come out on top? Who will be the driver to make sure that he comes out on top? As we're yet to find out, as we're yet to look at things, because obviously these guys in the front have not pitted. So it's Paravid who then has he maybe hasn't pitted because those soft tires, or he could have. I mean, he hasn't got much fuel, so even if he did pit, he did not get fuel in his car, which would obviously force him to pit at the end of this lap. That then would mean, with Nito pitting in, GT will go back to the lead of the race, and Jones, you could argue his tires are now running out of grip already, but he is in P7, which would technically mean P2, while everybody else ahead gets out of the way. With RLD in P8. In fact, behind Jones, Chapman's in P9 on brand new hard tyres. Same goes for Smoke, he's on brand new hards as well, while Mickey has decided to pit for a set of mediums. Numpty on a set of hard tyres as well. We've got 12 drivers in the session. Meanwhile, Monte Carlos, Lisandro and Nito, all three drivers have decided to continue and still keep moving forward on these. In fact, they're on hard tyres. That explains, well, Monty is on those medium tyres, while Lisandro and Nito on those hard tyres, making sure they go all the way to the end of the tyre life of these tyres, make sure to go to all the way to the finish of these tyres and everything. They go around. Well, Paravid now in P9, and he's then already pitted with the pitting that we were talking about, and they're ahead of Numpty Ned, which could be interesting because Numpty Ned is currently ahead of, Paravid is ahead of Numpty, and that would just mean that Para is doing a brilliant job despite pitting, but of course Numpty then has pitted as well, only a little bit a while ago, as it is now lap 10 out of 16. We're entering to the final 6 laps of this race, while Monte Carlos and Lisandro, along with Nito, the top 3 drivers, are still at it, but I think they won't be able to go any more. The tires are completely gone, especially the front tires, while the fuel is also out as well. So now even they could fight each other. They could fight each other if they want, I was going to say, but it was only right. They're going to come into the pits right now. Well, now looking at this situation of the race, it is going to be GT who should take the race lead back to his name. Same should go for Chapman, I'd say. He's down in P5 then, but obviously that's because all those drivers who are in the pit lane, and Smoke has jumped up over to P3 as well. That is going to be somewhat brilliant strategies, you have to say here, because Smoke has managed his way up to P3, despite being on brand new brand new hard compound tyre, same then goes for Page as well, while Monte Carlos is in P5 with Lisandro in P6. So decent amount of laps and decent amount of you'd say progress for these guys, and especially if they're able to gain themselves a couple of positions by staying out a little bit longer or pitting a bit early with an undercut or an overcut. You could argue Smoke's tires are slightly more worn than Chapman's, but then GT's tires are also slightly more worn than Chapman as well, because he pitted a lap later than GT, but it's only a question of whether he can make up all that time that he would have lost while pitting right behind or right after him. Sure, I mean, even if he's able to gain that time, and he's gaining by a couple of, even a few seconds per lap, unless he's doing many seconds every single lap, he won't be able to catch up to him very easily. As 6.8 seconds the gap between the top two, and 11 laps at the end of this lap. So it's 5 laps remaining at the end of this lap, then to the end of this race 1 here at round 9, with Smoke now in P3, while Page in P4, Monte Carlos in P5. The racing will be on. Lisandro might be in a bit of trouble from one part of it as well, so we're getting all sorts of action out on the track, and definite moves coming up soon, as we're about to look at this. Is Page going to be in a bit of trouble from from Monte Carlos? Not so far. One of the top drivers are on their own, and meanwhile Monte Carlos is going to be putting all that pressure on, or in fact will be in all that pressure from Page. Page slightly moves the car a little bit to the left and right, and finds it a little bit difficult with Lisandro in P6 there. He's fast, putting those faster laps, while one part of it is in P7. Anybody else fighting one another on the track? Not just yet. Well, it'll be 5 laps remaining at the end of this lap to the end of race 1 right here at Suzuka. I could say so far race has been pretty decent. We haven't seen many overtakes, but still it's a bit of close racing between these drivers, you'd have to say, and drivers are at least racing closer to one another in terms of if they are unable to make overtakes, or at least seeing drivers not far away. So definitely that explains that it's not really easy to overtake around here, because if pace difference was the case, we wouldn't have seen drivers far closer to each other a lot, which we are actually seeing right now. While at the top, GT over 6.1 seconds, Chapman is over 3 seconds ahead of Doug and Smoke as well, while Smoke is going to be now in all that pressure from Monte Carlos, who's coming right behind him with a possible podium finish on his way. But Monty needs to do all the work he can, and look at that is the reason why Monty is catching up to him, because he's on those soft compound tires, while Monte Carlos will try and get past Smoke. He's going to send it on the inside line. Who will be the later on the brake driver? It might be Smoke, but he runs a little bit wide. Sorry, Monte Carlos runs a little bit wide, while Page and Lisandro fighting each other as well. So fights are on. Fight for P5 and fight for P3 is on the line right here, as Monte Carlos has managed to overtake and get ahead of Smoke right there. And it's a fight of hard tires versus soft tire runners right there. Meanwhile, Lisandro on the mediums is also giving it his all, trying to get past Page on the hard. It's all about who's going to be the better driver on the nerves, who's going to be able to handle their nerves more easy and more cleanly right there in P6. They are, but being on the medium compared to Page's hard tires, those mediums might just be performing a little bit better so far in this one. With these 4 laps now remaining, including this one, Chapman in P2. Chapman has been pretty consistent, you have to say, the first few races as well right there, so you know he's going to get you very good points from the top of the table. While looking at other drivers, it is Jones at the bottom, RLD in P11, Nitu in P10 so far, with Mickey in P9 just behind Numpty. These guys could be fighting each other maybe Well, there's going to be action at the front, and there is going to be action indeed, as Lisandro will try and get past Page. He's giving it all. He's doing his all to make sure the overtake gets done. Maybe not around here or Villet, though, because one part of it now is arriving behind these guys, which would only mean one thing. This will not be a 2-car fight, but it could soon be a 3-car fight right there, as Lisandro's going to keep his car on the inside into turn 1. He's going to be having the inside line, and he'll just get past Page up to P5, and the move is done from Lisandro, and that is, ladies and gentlemen, how does that's how Lisandro does send his car into P5, but he'll need to be careful though, because anytime Page could come at him, well, Page himself has got one per of vid now right behind his wing mirrors, which he's going to make sure to keep on behind him. Well, look at that. So that's how Page is going to be seeing the car of one per of vid. Then we're seeing the car actually for them in the mirrors, which would be somewhat of an interesting pressure on their shoulders, while Smoke, who was at one point fighting Monte Carlos, is now going to be in a bit of trouble from Lisandro coming up soon. Now these are your drivers, these are your fights in this race so far. GT is in by over 4.8 seconds. He leads by, he might be losing a bit of time, but I think it won't be enough laps in the end for him to, for Chapman to get closer, for him to have a chance at an overtake. But still a brilliant race surely from them as well. 1 P2 for them, while Monte Carlos is gaining and gaining. But this is, they're going to head over to the second last lap of this race now. The gap to Smoke is 3.4 seconds, but now Monty needs to make sure he takes care of those tyres, because those soft tyres are going to run out of grip very soon, and if they are running out of very early, that'll be very tricky for them. While Lisandro is unable to get past Smoke there, Page is going to have to defend from one per avert, which he certainly does so far as it stands. While these guys are not going to have it easy or really give each other a bit of breathing space, while Lisandro is giving it his all and do all he can to try and get past Smoke for 4th place. Smoke, remember, oh, he's going to be already going for it. We would have thought maybe not around here, but he nearly tries and makes it work, but he has to back out eventually. That could have been a big one had he tried it. So he's not going to be going for that just now right there, but Lisandro in P5 with Smoke in P4, all could be up on the line here in the second last lap of this race. Next time it'll be the final lap of this race, race 1 here at Suzuka. Remember, there is one more race after this, which will be reverse grid of these results that we get right now. Maybe Page is going to be in a bit of pressure from Pomparavood, but all the pressure will be on Smoke right now, because only a 1/10.5 separate the two. That doesn't even separate the two anymore. Into 130i, he's going to send it on the inside line. Smoke's pushed absolutely wide, but he rejoins back again on the circuit. But that could be argued here. Are we going to watch out if Lisandro does let Smoke get past him there? Sure, he went for it. I mean, nobody wanted to back out there. So certainly a bit of a problem could be coming up, while one per of it is still going to make sure he's close enough before he has a go on Page. With Numtined is now in P8, ahead of E2 in P9 with RLD. Mickey, not sure what happened to Mickey there, because we just saw him all the way from the top to the bottom, running in the middle of the race, which definitely made, I think, would relate to a bit of issues. Well, now Lisandro is just Smoke is dropping down to Lisandro as well, so definitely he's not enjoying the car, enjoying it on those hard tires. His fuel is about to get over as well, while our race leader at the moment is now into final sector of this race, we're going to find out whether if these drivers are going to go for it. Well, smoke is going to be one thing. It is going to be Monte Carlos. He runs absolutely wide into the hairpin, and Lisandro will take third place. And it is all happening here in the final lap of race 1. It is GT who leads with Chapman in P2, but third place always up for grabs, and now he's gone. Monte Carlos opting for a set of soft tyres for the end of the race, and his tyres are now absolutely gone, and that's the reason he's lost third place. He might lose fourth place as well there, while Page is right behind him. He should be able to get past him in no time. Well, it'll be GT. He was unstoppable. He was untouchable from anybody throughout the race so far, as he qualified on pole and wins race 1 here in Japan. Suzuka with Chapman in P2, and it'll be Lisandro who takes third place from Monte Carlos at the very end, while Page gets fourth place, One Pyramid gets fifth, and Monte Carlos gets sixth place finish. He'll be gutted to lose out on that podium, which should have been his. And he had some tire grip left with Smoke in P7. Numpty is in P8. No Nito in P9, while RLD completes the top 10. Mickey in P11. And we have Jones, our very final driver, making all their way around the few corners to go over the line and finish and be our final finisher of this race so far. Then look at that. Jones will come over the line, take the checkered flag, and that'll be the end of race 1, ladies and gentlemen. And this was some brilliant action, especially the end moments of the race. These drivers were doing brilliantly they can, so now it'll be the reverse grid of what we just saw right now. So that means now these are going to be your race results, ladies and gentlemen. GT qualified on pole and won by over 3 seconds to Chapman in the end, who actually was gaining on GT, but it didn't matter as the laps were over with Chapman in P2. Lisandro getting a last lap podium in P3. Same goes with Page and One Pyramid, who got these position each at the final lap, with Monte Carlos would be gutted to lose on a podium. Still P6 finish should see them score decent amount of points, with Smoke in P7 and Numpty in P8. With Nitu, RLD and Mickey in P9, 10 and 11, with Jones, our final driver, in P12, while Wolf Club, who could not finish this race and had to retire out of it. So that's going to be all your action, ladies and gentlemen. We should be back out on track for race 2 in a couple of moments, and as soon as we're as we're going to be getting the grid set up, and as soon as the grid is set up, we're ready to go racing once more, we will be taking up action back again.
There we go then. We should be ready to go back out on track for race 2 right here on the track for round 9 here at Suzuka. We've had a very good race 1 and about to get into race 2, and we'll catch it up as soon as we're out on the track to watch racing and have all the fun right there. Too long remains before we have cars, before we have lights out and racing started once more. Pretty much everybody is ready, and we should have racing action between these drivers. So as soon as race is on, as soon as we have the action for the race, we will be back with the mic and everything on. And there we go, finally we're out on the track and ready for racing, as it is now time for drivers to go and for the lights to go out and for us to go racing once more. After a bit of waiting, the wait is finally about to get over as the race is going to get started. Jones leads ahead of Mickey in P2 with Dorothy in P3. It is going to be all 5 red lights and we go racing here at Suzuka. It's a decent start from Jones. He already goes defensive on the inside from Mickey. What about RLT? He's going to go for it as well. Does he go on the inside of Mickey there? There might be need to tries to make a move, or RLT sent it on the inside
inside line. He might go into the back of C. Jones there, but he just does about hangs it in there. Well, Mickey and RLD are going to be going side by side. Who's going to be the better driver? Nietzsche's lost it. He's back at the back in the gravel there with Smoke and Monte Carlos in P4 and 5. Also keeping it going so far with Chapman in P6 has already made up places with 7 for Page, with Lisandro in P8 now fighting with RLD. One per Verde. They'll be going side by side, but Lisandro has lost the car. He might have had a bit of a moment with Nito in P10. RGT now in P11 and Numpty dead in P12. Numpty might have lost a couple of places then at the start already by the looks of it, as oh, there's going to be RLD, and yes it is RLD, the man who came into this race, came into this round as the lead, along same point as the leader, and now he's lost the car out there, while GT's in P10 he hasn't made huge progress, but still is doing a decent job. So that pressure on RLD trying to make it up for the previous race has got up to him, and he's lost the car once more. While it is Jones who's at the top and still leads ahead of Mickey in P2. Mickey did not have a good race, while Smoke's going to go for it on the inside line to descend into the chicane. He might have to back out of it when Monte Carlos comes round the outside and gets the job done on Smoke, pushes Smoke a little bit wide, but Monte will be through, and now Chapman's up to P4 as well. It is all happening here. It is all going on right in this first lap of this race. Mickey is going to go defensive. Mickey's going to make sure he defends it well. Monte Carlos, he didn't, speed pace was never an issue for him. He lost P3 because of tyre strategy last time out. Well, Chapman's in P4, going to be behind Carlos, and he'll be quite impatient to get past him. With Page in P5 at the moment, just ahead of One Paravid in P6, Lisandro in P7, Nito in P8, with GT, who's just made up his way in P9 and 10. These two are potential top two in the Drivers' Championship at the end of this weekend. Are both going and scraping through in P8 and P9 and 10 so far in this race for the first couple of laps. Well, Numpty and Smoke being pushed a little bit wide from Carlos there might have made him lose a lot of positions, while Mickey is still within a second of Jones right there. Jones has finished on a couple of podiums this season so far, but they haven't won, and Mickey, who were only doing their first race last round at Austria, are in here and on the verge of taking another podium so far running in P2. But remember, this is only the start of the race, and despite not so good of an end on that soft tire previously, Monty still has chose for the set of soft tires, and does he go on the inside line of Mickey there? And he indeed has been on the inside and sent it on the inside of Mickey, and he in fact does not get past Mickey there. They're nearly going to make contact. They'll be side by side. It'll be Chapman who arrives right behind these guys, but Monty does get past Mickey there, or has he got past Mickey though, because they're still almost wheel to wheel, while Chapman's right behind these guys. Chapman's got the best seat to watch this fight out there, while Monty is back up to the top in P2, while Jones is 6.5 tenths ahead of these guys. But as long as these guys keep fighting each other, he's gonna pull away, and this and until one of them, be it Monty, Mickey, Chapman, or even Page arriving at the very back, could overtake one of them guys and pull away to try and catch up to Jones, while Jones so far looks okay and looks safe in his lead, maybe not for too long. While at the back it is Page at One Paravid. Page might run a little bit wide. That could allow One Paravid to get past him, and Wood is going to try and go around the outside into the hairpin. Page will have the inside line and nearly defends as good as he can. And there we go, Page nearly defensive, but goes a little bit wide. Could allow others to get past, but not at the moment, while Jones is now only 4.5 tenths ahead of these guys right behind him. How good will they all be? How good will all these guys be? And look at this then, Monte Carlos, who's made up all his way. He wants to make up for the P3 that he lost in the previous race. He'll be around the outside of 130R and into 130R of C. Jones. And he might have lost a little bit of a progress by slightly going a little bit wide. That'll allow Mickey to get closer. And same goes for Chapman as well. The two same liveried cars are going to fight each other off there. It is going to be Chapman and Mickey. Who's going to be taking the position there? Will it be Chapman? Will it be Mickey? Mickey goes on the inside, Chapman makes up his way around the outside. Who will be the stronger and braver driver? Chapman sends it on the inside line and gets the move done up into P3, and he's up to the top as well, while Monty is just still staying in P2, while with C. Jones in the lead of this race. We're 4 laps into this, and already we're having some fantastic racing from all of them. So medium tires for Jones, soft for Monte Carlos, and already those soft tires, by the looks of it, are definitely running out of grip with Chapman on the mediums. Same goes for Mickey. Hard tires for Page with mediums for One Paravid. Hard for Lisandro as well. Hard tires for Nitu. Hard tires for GT. And medium tires for Numty. With medium for Smoke and RLD, while Wolf Club did not join in the race 2. The DNF race 1 and could not come again for race 2. So round now 9 here at Suzuka, 1 round over, which gave us a couple of racing laps at the very end of that one. But now we are already having some of it. While we talk about having races, good racing, it's C. Jones is pulling away from Monte Carlos, and Monty being on those soft tires, which are going to be feeling like horrible right now. Maximum he has at least one lap with which he just about would be able to keep it up and ahead of these guys, because otherwise he's going to lose a lot of grip after that lap, and still staying ahead of these guys would be an incredible job. He might be on his way to lose it very soon, but we're going to find out whether he's got enough defensive moves and defensive lines and correction grip that he needs to stay ahead of Chapman and Mickey there, the two teammates. And already oh, he's right behind then, and he's right behind Jones there. Would have thought Jones has pulled away slightly because of Carlos struggling, but he definitely isn't by the looks of it, because it seems like he might have just have enough grip on those front tires for now, and he's now slightly getting closer to Jones. But that doesn't change anything though, because Chapman's right behind him now, so that would only indicate that Jones slightly lost the car or lost a bit of time. It's Chapman in P3 right there, while Mickey is in P4 right behind him. So these two teammates, I'd like to call them, with P5 for Page, One Paravid in P6, followed by Lisandro, who's in P7 at the moment. Nito in P8, but slightly behind these guys. And GT, the man who absolutely dominated race 1, doesn't really seem to have a chance in race 2 here. I know we're only 5 laps in, but he's down in P9 with Numpty Ned, Smoke and RLD in P12, 11, 9, 10 and 9 for GT. Oh, we're going to get back to the top of it again, as this time C. Jones has pulled away, and the tyre grip on Carlos's car is going to be getting worse every corner now. Well, it's going to be Chapman who's going to have a move and try and get a move on the inside, but will he be able to get past him? Do not think so. And I think from his previous experience, if Monty is to learn anything, he would. Looking to come into the pits right now. Well, Chapman might be able to get past Carlos. Yes, he is, as Carlos comes into the pits. While now the two drivers are going to be fighting each other here. Chapman and Mickey. Who's going to be the one on the top? Is it going to be Mickey or is it going to be Chapman? Both of them are going to fight for P2 and have a chance in their drivers. And look at that. How early did Mickey brake there? Because definitely Mickey braked quite a bit early, while Chapman went for it on the inside, and it looked like he didn't even slow down, while Mickey gave him quite a bit of space. Maybe if they're trying to work together, he's going to give him a little bit of a space and not really fight. While look at this here. It is a three-car fight with Page, One Paravid, Lisandro, all these guys. Nitu coming right behind them as well. We're only 6 laps in, and it is all happening while Jones is chilling in the race lead. What, 2.3 seconds now? And I think All he wants right now is these two guys to fight each other and make him pull away. These guys fight each other, lose time to Jones, and that would allow Jones to pull away and have an easy, at least, if not super easy, slight bit of easiness on their tires. Well, look at this Page in P4, just ahead of one Paravid, but you never know, is one Paravid gonna be able to get it? How good will he be able to make the most of it right here? Because he's 3/10 behind Page, but Page is also looking strong by being on the harder tire. He's actually got a slightly better tires, and this could be the time where the hard tire slightly would be performing a little bit better than that hard, than that medium, and fitting slightly better in terms of traction and grip to give himself and keep himself ahead of the car behind. Well, we look at this here on lap 7 out of 16. At the end of next lap, we'll be halfway through this race 2, while Chapman and Mickey are only separated by 6/10 to each other. Page behind is over 5 seconds, but he is also just about 6/10 ahead of one Paravid. He himself on the other end is only 5.5 tenths ahead of Lisandro. Meanwhile, Need2, instead of catching up to them, is getting caught up by GT and NumTNet, the two teammates. The NumT squad drivers are on their own, are on their mission to get closer and have a chance of fighting these guys at the front, or a chance at it, while Smoke, RLD and Monte Carlos is in P12 now. He's pretty much been ahead of everybody, which would simply be an undercut, but it would be an interesting choice of tyres, considering if they're going to be able to finish this race on the set of medium compound tyres and doing a strategy of medium soft medium, which on the previous lap, while Jones is in, Jones from the lead of the race will come on to the pits, and that'll allow Chapman and Mickey to go back to the top, while Chapman will be your new race leader of race 2. While a couple of drivers in the pits, followed by Jones. It's going to be Jones, one Paravid, and NumTNet. It's the 3 drivers. We're deciding to pit, while Chapman and Mickey are going to be 1-2 with P3 for Page. But not anything separating these two here. Not anything separating the 2 drivers in front of your screens, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be Lisandro, and it's going to be Page with Lisandro. And both on the hard tyres, so that's an interesting choice, because both, remember, on the set of hard tyres, and there isn't much different tyre conditions between these drivers. Of course, tyre temperatures and all is going to come into play, and that would certainly mean how good and what they're going to be technically doing, but at least as far as it stands, there isn't much that's different. There isn't much that, at least in terms of tyre advantage, could be one or the other drivers play, which sometimes one driver has more tyre wear than the other. It's all to play for right here. Well, Page still stays out, though. I mean, one thing you have to say, though, Page is doing a brilliant job. Sure, he's got Lisandro in very close ranges of him, but he's not allowing him to get past. He's not allowing him to get the move done right here, which we haven't seen them go side by side, but eventually we could be seeing them. While Chapman and Mickey, are they going to come into the pits right now? Well, it looks like Chapman will. What about Mickey? And Mickey will as well. Both of them are going to follow each other to get into the pits, and that'll allow and give a chance for Page to go long and run long on those hard tyres. Same goes for Lisandro. He's going to be right behind Page. Maybe he gets the move done, or maybe not, while Need2 is in P3. Heading on to this race. everybody's fighting on for their position, and need to GT's in P4. He started on the hard tires as well. And now, if he's got just enough speed to try and get past RLD, try and get past Nitu, try and get past Lisandro and Page, which would technically gain in position. Sure, he hasn't pitted, but they would simply replace him with these guys who were actually ahead of GT on track. But definitely, that's only if he is able to overtake those guys. While Smoke is in P12 now into the pits. Numpty coming out of the pits on those hard tires with Numt in P11, while Chapman in P10, one Private in P9. And look at that, Mickey's P8. What a brilliant exit. Mickey's in P8, and he's gained on Chapman there. Not sure what happened Chapman. With Chapman, maybe something to play for, or it could be the fuel, but I mean, Mickey's got full tank of fuel here, but it could be slightly. Chapman's got full, slightly less from Mickey, and that might have just been the case, which helped him gain positions, not only on Chapman, but on one part of it as well, who might have seen these guys in the pits. Well, Mickey now, as soon as C. Jones goes into the leads, Mickey will be the driver in P2 and ahead of Chapman, and they'll have one part of it in between, with RLD in P5 at the moment. Should be coming into the pits this lap, while Monte Carlo still in P6, so his undercut attempt is not going to be working. Or will it though, because now he's actually ahead of C. Jones, so everybody ahead of him needs to pit. It's a matter of time whether Monty could get to the end of this race on these tires, which would be very tricky. But if he's able to do so, at least he's going to go into the lead of the race now, going with a different strategy, which would just about give them enough time to fight for, while Page and Lisandro are still at it, and Page leads the race so far. Look at this. These guys again still. So I think this could be strategic here as well, because Lisandro, sure, it's not as close or as easy to get past him, but he's technically not even getting past him. So maybe he just simply wants to stay behind, stay in the slipstream, and not really lose time. Because definitely, we've seen drivers fight each other and lose a lot of time while allowing others to stay ahead or catch up. In the case of Jones, while Mickey and Chapman were fighting each other, Jones were pulling away, which easily allowed him to, still keep the lead while coming out of the pits, or at least stay ahead of those guys, or in terms of net lead. So definitely, I think with Xander and Page not fighting each other, at least they're going to do one thing, which would be need to. Little's not going to catch them easy. Well, all three are now going to come into the pits, and that'll be Monte Carlos all the way to take the lead of this race here in round 2. Remember, Monte Carlos lost out on a P3 on the very final lap of race 1 because of running out of grip. It might be the same situation for him, I'm afraid, but let's see how well does he manage these tires. 5.6 seconds to the car behind of Jones, who is just about 5 tenths ahead of Mickey. So it could be interesting now. All in here right there. Well, Chapman's in P5, is going to gain a position on Page, of course, but he'll still be behind one par of third, with GT in P6 now. So Chapman and GT could be fighting each other right there, while Page is in P7. Zendro in P8, as P9 for Nitu is now right behind these guys, and maybe in the pits he's gained a little bit on these guys, with Numty, Smoke and RLD at the very bottom of this race. Meanwhile, Jones has been overtaken, and he's already been overtaken by Mickey, who did not also have a very good race 1. He seems to completely be enjoying himself, at least for now. And now you know why, because he's on the medium tires, as compared to Jones's hard tires, who would have actually had it slightly
hard in terms of not hard, but just a bit of difficult. Obviously, while the medium tire would have a bit of better grip than the hard. I don't think with relatively both tires newer, it would be much different. Definitely, the difference would be with the medium tire being faster than the hard tire, and that's pretty much what we are seeing at the moment. While now Monte Carlos is also only 4.6 seconds ahead of Mickey. This could be interesting though. This could spice things up at the end of the ending laps though, because 4.6 seconds they got between the two, 4.7 almost now, and we'll be heading towards the lap 12. So 4 laps to the end of this race. 4 laps now remain before the end of this race. Or in fact, it should be 5 actually, not 4. 5 it will be. It'll be 4 after the end of this lap. And now I think it'll play a lot. Maybe even if Monty is able to make it to the end of this race very easy, he'll have to find it quite difficult. While one man is finding it difficult between cars, it might be, well, Jones has lost air positions. One part of it is almost on his own. Chapman is looking to catch up and gain on one Paravid, who's also on the hard tyres. Meanwhile, medium tyre runner GT with Page behind him are all catching up, along with Lisandro. It's up to Chapman with Nitu, who's also on the mediums as well. Could be catching up to the hard tyres of Chapman, which will not only allow to get GT to get closer and GT to pull away, which is only going to mean not so good for RLD, who came in the top with the top 2 in the championship, thinking to get closer to GT. Of course, he gets points as long as you finish the race, but he's down in P12 and he did not really have a good race 1 as well. So definitely he had not so good of a weekend so far, and I'm sure he's gonna try and forget this race and hope that GT has a horrendous weekend moving forward. But only time's going to tell us what we're going to be getting in these remaining races of this season. It is round 9 here. 3 more rounds races will remain after this one, while our race leader is now only leading by 2.4 seconds. And I think as long as he's able to stay in the lead by lap 15, or at least into the final lap of this race, then his chance would be on. But if he's overtaken, I think then pretty much there is no chance for him. Sure, he could keep P3 though, because P2, because Jones is over 3.7 seconds behind. So Monty might have the opportunity to take P2, but definitely that race win chance would be out of the box right there. But still, he's done an incredible job to say that he started in P6, and especially I think after losing that P3 in the previous race, he'd be gutted. And even if he's able to get a P2, that'll definitely mean a lot for him, because simply what you missed out on race 1, able to get back, getting it again in race 2 would certainly make you feel good, and at least you'd think that okay. If not, at least if I didn't make up for, obviously, what points are lost can't be gained, but for a driver like Monte Carlos, who's not every single race fighting for the podium, if he's going to finish an odd podium, he's definitely going to feel it good. Well, now it is 9/10s between the two. Never know, you never know though. Monty's tires are now looking like they're getting out of grip very soon, as we'll head over to lap 14 out of 16. With 3 laps to the end of this race, it is between Mickey and Monty. Who's going to be the driver? Well, one Paravid is in P4, Page P5, P6 for Nitu, P6 for GT, Nitu, Numpty Ned, and Chapman's nowhere to be found. He's down in P9. He's down in P9. Not sure what has happened to him. Maybe he's had an incident there with Lisandro, who's in P10. So these guys have lost out at least to the pack in front. Well, Page and one Paravid are at it. Page is going to go for it around the outside. Page is going to try and get that 4th place. Page
will make sure as he could gain as many places as he can. While Jones is 5.5 seconds to the next car, and also 5.4 seconds to the car in front, while Mickey has managed to get past. Oh, he's lost it! Monty has lost it! And that, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly why I was saying that Monte Carlos will find it absolutely difficult on that strategy, and he indeed has. Now those front tyres will have no grip on his car, and he's already down to P3. Definitely those tire temperatures are now going to be heating up as he's at the spin, and that pressure from Mickey right behind him was going to be gaining and was going to be increasing, and definitely you could see that pressure would have kicked up, because as I was saying, he would lose that P2, but he might not lose that P3, but now things are completely different. While one Provid is in P4, Page is right behind him along with GT. He was looking to gain as much as he can. He's looking to gain as much as he can as well, because GT from the back of the grid, he's doing a decent job, but he certainly didn't have as much, especially after winning the race one by a decent margin. You would have thought he's going to catch up back to the top pack. He wasn't able to do that, but now he's back up to P6, and he's sure got a chance of a minimum taking a P5 or a P4 here. And he's going to be through, and he's going to be through, yes indeed. Excuse me about that, and let's go. He's going to be through. No, in fact, no. While one part of it pulls away, it's going to be Page and GT. Page ran a little bit wide. That narrowly allowed for GT to get past, and GT is still unable to get past. He tries to go for it, but Page does not allow. Page might have run a little bit wide, but he's doing absolutely everything to keep himself in contention and in control of that position. Right, look at this. It was... now it's going to be through, and Monte Carlos is going to be losing that P3 already. Or is he, though? Because he's going to stay side by side against one part of it. He's not deciding to back out of it at all. He's got no grip. He's got nothing on those tires. He'll have no traction, absolutely. And he's going to run very wide, and that'll not only make him lose 1, 2, but 3 position, all in single corner. And Monte Carlos is down to P6, and now you know, strategy is all that was holding him back. Had he started on the medium or the hard tire and make a medium hard strategy, that could have well nicely worked. Well, Page is now going to have to work very hard, because Warren Paravud is looking absolutely impatient to make that move work. We head over to the final lap of this race. Page has managed to defend from one Paravud nearly throughout the whole race, and he just needs to do one more lap, and a podium will be on the way. A podium will be on the line. Well, Mickey leads by over 9.1 seconds ahead of Jones in P2, but these guys are doing a brilliant job so far. Well, at the bottom it is RLD in P12, Smoke in P11, Lizandro in P10 as Nito's made a mistake, and GT's Numpty that's going to go for it around the outside. He might try and get past Nito there, and narrowly you would have thought Lizandro's going to get past him as well. Lizandro will get past him indeed. He's going to be side by side. Both of them are still going to be fighting it out, but no, maybe not. Well, it is Numpty in P8, Chapman's in P7, while Monte Carlos in P6, and I think he'll be lucky, very lucky to finish if he is able to even keep that 6th place, because Chapman is now right behind him, and that would only make matters worse for him. While we were talking about Page and Paravud, Page has managed to pull away, and Para's tires are now absolutely out of grip, as that could be seen with GT, who is nearly right behind Paravud and almost about to get past him there, while our race leader is going to make their way around the final corner and go over the line to win round 2 here at Suzuka and take the checkered flag ahead of everyone. And Jones, after not so good of a first race, the recovery is on as they're going to take P2 and take second place in that penalty. And a penalty which we did not have on screen. It was going to be to Mickey, and he's lost out many cars, and that will allow Jones to take P1, and then it'll be Carl who wins around race 2 here in Japan. Page will get P2, on Pyramid gets P3, GT in P4, Chapman in P5. Nito in P6, Alessandro's P7, Smoke has got P8. Well, still Alessandro's P7 indeed. Nito's got P6 with Smoke in P8, Nito in P9, MT in P9, P10 for Carlos, RLD in P11, and Mickey's all the way down in P12. Usually it shows if it's a bit of a time penalty or what it was going to be, but look at that. Carl gets the victory and finishes that up ahead of everyone. If it wasn't on track, it is going to be on time, and brilliantly done by everybody out there. As this is going to be your race results, ladies and gentlemen. Jones wins ahead of Page in P2, followed by One Pyramid on the podium in P3. GT, after doing all he could after a victory in race 1, will get P4 in race 2, with Chapman in P5. Followed by Nito in P6, Lizandro in P7, Smoke in P8, Numpty Ned in P9. It'll be Monte Carlos, who's going to be in P10, RLD in P11. While Mickey, it was a 1-minute penalty to his name. It was a 1 whole minute penalty that would have affected his race, and it definitely did. Man who finished crossed the line in P1 will not get anything at all. And brilliantly done by everybody. That's pretty much going to be the end of it then, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you all watching enjoyed and had all the fun for racing. It was myself, Zabbi, once again, and from all of us here at Apex Racing and Chill. It's a goodbye, as always. See you next time, next week.